Welcome back, fabulous scholars, to another one of Ms. Lund's crazy schemes. Now, you may know that I am pretty good at making lefse from scratch. It's something my family has been doing for a while. I don't do a whole lot of other baking, but I do occasionally like to cook. And so that's where today's crazy scheme came from. That's right, it came from my kitchen. I was getting ready to make a tasty snack for myself when I realized I had one small problem. And yes, scholars, there's always one small problem in making a tasty snack for yourself. As you might know, I like Chex Mix as a snack, and sometimes I even make my own. So in front of you is the actual recipe from the Chex cereal people on how to make Chex Mix. But I was missing several of the ingredients when I started to pull things out of my cupboards. Also, there are some things on this list that I'm not very fond of. So I didn't have any wheat checks, and I don't have any garlic flavored bagel chips, and I really don't care for pretzels. They're not my favorite snack. So my crazy scheme was to look around my kitchen and decide what did I want to use instead of those ingredients. Now, I wasn't going to throw in just anything. So if you were shouting examples at me, I probably either didn't have those or didn't want to eat those, or it just didn't occur to me. So after looking through my cupboards, here is what I came up with. Instead of wheat checks, I was going to use honey checks. I like them because they're sweet, and I actually had some in my cupboard. Goldfish crackers instead of pretzels because I love goldfish crackers. And like I said before, I don't really care for pretzels. And then because I didn't have any of the bagel slices, I have cashews because I love them. They're a favorite snack of mine when I get home from work. So I had enough ingredients and I was ready to get started when Eek had a great idea. He suggested that since I was changing the recipe anyway, I might as well think about what else could I change to give it a different flavor and make it a little bit more unique. Eek pointed out that I have a lot of spices sitting in my kitchen from various things that I've cooked. And although the recipe called for onion powder, garlic powder, and seasoned salt, I could maybe replace one or two of those with something else. So I pulled down my spice rack and decided to go for Chex Mix that was a little bit spicy. So instead of the onion powder and the garlic powder, now I'm using cayenne pepper and hot Mexican style chili pepper. It is going to be delicious. This crazy recipe is also completely EEK approved. So now, scholars, what you see is my Chex Mix recipe with the ingredients that I happen to have in my kitchen, as well as the changes I made to make it a spicy Chex Mix recipe. You may also notice that I changed the amounts of the powders that I was adding because when I tried it at first, I stuck a tiny little spoon in there to just check and see what the butter sauce tasted like. And I couldn't really taste the spices. So I added a little bit more. That's one thing about creating your own recipe is you have to check it out along the way. You can't just dump a bunch of stuff into a pot or your crazy scheme will go horribly wrong. So today's crazy scheme challenge for you is to make your own modified or slightly changed recipe. You could start with the Chex Mix recipe, or you could try something totally different that you would like to change. However, you need to have a parent's permission first. One, to make sure that you're being safe in the kitchen because you shouldn't be using sharp tools or the stove or the oven without a parent supervising. And two, to help you from keeping it getting too crazy. Again, sometimes when you experiment with things, it goes horribly wrong, just like with any science experiment. Chefs and cooks are actually scientists. They try things and they make little changes and they see how it goes. They have their hypothesis. I think this will taste good. And then they experiment by trying it out. And then sometimes when they're analyzing data, they think, oh, no, this didn't quite work out. The best part about being a chef or being a scientist is you can always try it again and change your hypothesis a little bit to see if you get a different result with your experiment, or in this case, with your recipe. If you do make a modified recipe, ask your parents if you can post a photo of you and your creation or even your modified recipe in the comments below so that others can see it. If it goes horribly, horribly wrong, you maybe want to try it again and then post a better attempt, or just let us know that it went horribly, horribly wrong, because again, that just happens, and that's a way that we keep learning. So I hope you have fun doing some experimenting in your kitchen. Remember that again, you need a parent's permission and probably a parent to help supervise. This isn't something you should just go and do on your own. Even though we're doing some crazy schemes, you need to be safe and be prudent. In a few minutes, Eka and I will have some spicy Chex Mix made of things that I really like, so I'm very looking forward to that. In the meantime, I hope you have some fun thinking like scientists and cooks all at the same time, creating your own recipes and then sharing what happens with the rest of us so that we can learn from your thinking. Good luck and have fun, scholars.